Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to ASMR. ASMR showcases spine-chilling stories from Reddit, from the paranormal to real-life spooky encounters, and of course, all will be narrated in a soothing ASMR whisper. So let's find a quiet spot, relax, and dive into the world of whispers and chills with these scary stories from Reddit. Please don't forget to leave a like on today's video and subscribe for your regular dose of creepy calm. Have you ever heard something you weren't supposed to? I'm not talking about an overheard whisper in a darkened hallway, or a husband conversation you accidentally eavesdropped on. No, this was different. This was something impossible, something that shouldn't exist yet, something from the future. I did, and now I don't think I have much time left. It started 2 nights ago. I was up late, too late, mindlessly flipping through stations on my old radio, the kind with a stiff tuning dial and a scratched up casing, the kind you don't really see anymore. I'd found it at a garage sale months back, drawn to its nostalgic charm, and ever since it had become my companion during long, restless nights. I'm one of those people who need background noise while working, static-filled music, late-night talk shows, even those strange, distant signals that flicker in and out of dead frequencies. But that night, something different came through. At first, it was barely a whisper beneath the crackle of empty airwaves, a thin, ghostly hum fighting to be heard. I almost ignored it, almost turned the dial again, but then a voice came. This is an emergency alert for all residents. This is not a test. I froze. The voice wasn't like the usual robotic warnings I'd heard before. It was off, slower, almost hesitant, like it was being forced out against some invisible resistance. A deep mechanical distortion coated every word, stretching them out unnaturally. Please listen carefully. This broadcast is coming from the future. A nervous chuckle slipped from my lips. A joke, had to be. Some underground station having fun with late-night listeners. Maybe a creepypasta-inspired prank, trying to get under people's skin. But then, the voice came again. If you are hearing this, you have less than 24 hours. They are already here. They are watching. A shiver ran down my spine, and then a sudden burst of static, deafening, swallowing everything. The radio hissing like a living thing before cutting off entirely. I just sat there, staring at the radio, my fingers clenched tight around the armrest of my chair, the tremble in my hands betraying the fear I didn't want to acknowledge. It had to be fake, some weird experimental transmission, a trick, a hoax, something, anything, but no. No matter how much I tried to convince myself, the unease crawled beneath my skin, settling deep into my bones. I grabbed my phone and checked the time. 12:03 a.m. A perfectly ordinary moment in a perfectly ordinary night, and yet nothing felt ordinary anymore. With a shaky breath, I switched the radio off, buried myself under my blankets, and squeezed my eyes shut. I forced my mind to push it away, to label it as nothing more than late-night paranoia. I was wrong. I didn't want to hear anything else. I turned everything off and headed to my room. I lay in bed. My eyelids were heavy, my body sinking into the mattress, exhaustion pulling at me like unseen hands. The strange radio broadcast familiar still lingered in my mind, but I'd almost convinced myself it was nothing, just a hoax, a trick of my overtired brain. I was just about to sleep, and then, at exactly 2 a.m, my phone buzzed, a sharp, urgent vibration against my nightstand. My stomach twisted as I reached for it, dread pooling in my chest like ice-cold water. An emergency alert, but something was wrong. There was no text, no explanation, just a pulsing red notification swallowing the screen, beating like a heart. And then I saw the radio, sitting on the table near my bed. I didn't put it there. I knew I hadn't put it there. notes through the air, rattling the speakers, then silence. The room felt unbearably still, and then knock, 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 knock. A sharp, deliberate sound. I nearly dropped my phone. The knocking had come from my front door. I let alone. I wasn't expecting anyone. No one should be here. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Knock, knock, knock. Again. It was slow, even, the kind of knocking that didn't ask for permission, but announced its presence. I forced my legs to move, each step feeling heavier than the last. My breath felt too loud in the suffocating quiet. I reached the front door and pressed my eye against the peephole. Nothing. No one was there. But it continued. I backed away, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Do not look outside. My stomach twisted. A sick feeling spread through me like something was crawling beneath my skin. I couldn't resist. I moved towards the window, inching forward like something unseen was pushing against my chest. Slowly, carefully, I pulled the blinds back just enough to peek through, and I saw a man standing, or at least I think it was a man. He stood on the sidewalk, directly facing my house, perfectly still, too still. His posture was unnatural, rigid like a mannequin. His face was turned towards me, but he wasn't looking at me. His head was tilted at an impossible angle, as if something inside his neck had snapped. He wasn't moving, but he was there, watching. My phone buzzed again. They know you see them. A breath caught in my throat. My hands went numb. I stumbled back from the window, yanking the blinds shut so hard they rattled. And then the knocking stopped, but the silence that followed, it was worse, much, much worse. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I sat in my room, back pressed against the cold wall, gripping my phone so tight my knuckles ached. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath shallow and uneven. I waited for another message, another warning, another sound that would prove I wasn't losing my mind. But nothing came. Hours crawled by, stretching endlessly as the darkness outside deepened. The house was suffocatingly silent, every shadow stretching too far, every sound making me flinch. When the sun finally rose, I let out a shaky breath. The golden light seeped through my window, washing over the room like a safety net, chasing away the night's terrors. And suddenly, it all felt stupid. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe some underground radio stunt designed to freak people out. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me, weaving fear into something bigger than it was. I told myself I was fine. I told myself it was over. But then, at exactly midnight, the radio switched on. By itself, the static was deafening, crackling like fire, growing louder and louder, until it spoke. This is your final warning. My entire body locked up. The voice was different now, heavier, darker. They will come inside tonight. You must not run. You must not scream. You must not speak, it said. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened as if something invisible was pressing down on it. My fingers curled around my bed sheets, my body frozen in place. Then, psst. My phone vibrated. I swallowed, hesitating, then slowly lowered my gaze. A message. Do not let them take you. My stomach dropped. The screen flickered, then it went completely black. At that exact moment, the lights in my house flickered. Once, twice, then the front door unlocked by itself. A cold sweat broke out along my spine. My mouth went dry. I did not unlock the door, but it opened. I grabbed the baseball bat leaning against my closet, clutching it so tightly my fingers ached. I didn't know if I would do anything, but I needed something. Anything. I backed into the farthest corner of my room, my entire body tensed, ears straining for any sound. Then I heard them, footsteps, slow, dragging. They weren't heavy, but they weren't light either. clenched my jaw, biting down on the urge to scream. Then I heard breathing, too slow, too deep, like someone trying to imitate what a human would sound like. Then a slow, agonizing creak echoed through the hallway. The floorboards groaned beneath them as they moved through the house. They were looking for me. My phone buzzed again. One last message. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see what it said, but I did. Do not blink, it said. I stiffened. Then a shadow right outside my bedroom door. I could see it. A silver of darkness beneath the gap. It didn't move. It didn't shift. It just stood there, waiting. I could hear my own heartbeat hammering in my skull, blood rushing through my ears so loudly it felt like a roar. And then it moved towards me. Every side of my body screamed for me to run, but I couldn't. My muscles refused to obey, and the warning, I couldn't ignore it. Do not blink. So I didn't. My eyes locked on the shadow, burning from the strain. Tears welled up, spilling down my cheeks, but I did not blink. I couldn't. And then the lights flickered. The radio let out a final burst of static, and just like that, they were gone. I don't know what happened that night. I don't know what they were. But I know one thing. I'm still here, but something has changed. The radio, it doesn't work anymore. Every station is just dead air. My phone, it doesn't receive emergency alerts anymore. But last night, I looked outside. He was there, standing across the street. The same stiff posture, the same tilted head, waiting, watching. I don't think this is over. I don't think I have much time left. A little girl, perhaps 5 years old, shows up near my ceiling and watches me at night. I'm not afraid of her. Of course, my first thought upon seeing her was that maybe I was losing my mind. But one night, my wife came back to the bed from the bathroom and saw the little girl and flipped out. The little girl quickly disappeared. My wife isn't the only one that has seen her. Once, I was driving in a new neighbourhood with a guy, looking at houses being built, and the little girl stuck her head round the corner of the house. The guy with me immediately said, "What the is that child doing on a job site?" We walked over to find her, and when we got to the backyard, we saw a large group of deer, about 10. I didn't tell the guy that I had seen the girl before. We were both stunned by the deer, as this was in the city. We just walked back to the truck without mentioning the girl again. I think she somehow increases my intuition. A couple of months ago, I was walking downtown and decided to go into a certain building. Inside were people talking about addiction. I got 3 nasal spray Narcans from a lady, tossed them into my truck, forgot about them. Then one night, the girl was flying around my ceiling frantically. It was clear she wanted me to follow her, so I did. I found my roommate collapsed and unresponsive on the couch. The little girl motioned for the door, and I remembered the Narcan spray. I gave one to my roommate, and it saved his life. He had overdosed. This little girl has dark hair and wears a black dress and paisley decorations on it. The first time I saw her, I asked her, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And she said nothing. She smiled and floated around in a circular motion. I don't tell people about this little girl. People don't understand, and it makes me sound crazy. I posted about her on another thread and thought I would do the post about her now. I was out on a call at approximately 2 a.m. I had stopped at a major intersection waiting for my light to turn green. To my right is a huge cemetery that dates way back. I caught movement to my right and watched a man walking to the crosswalk in front of me. My car was halfway into the walkway. This guy started walking, walked right through the front of my car like it wasn't even there, continued walking, and just literally vaporized right as he got to the centre of the crosswalk. He reappeared as soon as he reached a bridge that goes under the overpass, then disappears again. This scared the living daylights out of me. I always avoided that intersection afterwards and would drive out of my way to avoid it. I avoid talking about this with just anyone because I'm afraid I'm going to get tagged as crazy. I know what I saw and I want to hear other stories as well. This happened a few months months ago, and to this day, I still can't shake the feeling of what happened that night. I was hanging out at my house with a friend. We were watching a movie, just chilling like usual. At one point, my friend decided to get up and head to the bathroom. Nothing weird, right? But then something really strange happened. As soon as my friend left the room, I heard his voice. It wasn't coming from the bathroom. It was coming from outside, loud enough for me to hear it clearly. At first, I thought maybe he was talking to someone through the window, but I figured that didn't make sense. Still, I got up and walked towards the window to see what was going on, and that's when I saw it. His face, right there, smiling at me from the window. It was so clear. I froze for a second, staring at him through the glass. I didn't know how to process what I was seeing, because just seconds earlier, he had been walking towards the bathroom. There was no way he could have got onto the window that quickly. I was freaked out, but I brushed it off as my mind played tricks on me. After all, I had just seen him leave, right? So I turned away from the window and tried to calm down. When my friend came back from the bathroom, I asked him if he had tried to scare me by sneaking around the house. He looked at me confused and said, "No, I've been in the bathroom the whole time." I laughed it off nervously, but inside, something didn't feel right. Later that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had seen his face, but that wasn't him. It couldn't be. I was trying to figure out what had just happened, trying to piece everything together in my mind. That's when I decided to look it up, and after a few hours of research, I found out something that sent chills down my spine. What I had seen that night was a doppelganger. Where is everybody? Hey, is anyone out there? Or is anyone here? I'm in New York City, so there should be people here, right? Did I miss a memo or something? I can't seem to find a single person around. I've gone to popular sites, gone to the shop, gone to the top of buildings, nothing. The weird thing is, all of the cars are still here, so there must be some people somewhere. So, I went to the Empire State Building and looked around. Nothing. Another thing, there are no planes in the sky, none at all. I can't help but feel like I'm being watched. I'll talk to you later. I went to a bar. I don't usually drink, but I need one. I tried calling my family, who all live out of state, but no such luck. I don't know if everyone died, or what, but I do know that this is too big to be a practical joke, that's for sure. I got super drunk before I realised another thing. The electricity is still on, and my phone still has service. I can't believe this. Someone is messing with me. I swear someone is watching me. I can't explain it, but I feel eyes on me. I think I remember hearing that it was like an animal instinct to sense danger. That's what it is. I sense danger. I keep feeling like I see someone peering or disappearing around corners. But then they vanish. It looks like a pale, white figure. But I've never seen much of them. I've been having trouble sleeping, especially when I feel like I'm always being watched. It's hard to function in general, really. I feel like I'm always hearing slapping footsteps, like bare feet on a wooden floor. I got a notification on my phone today. A YouTuber uploaded a video. I tried commenting under it, but no one responded, and there weren't any other comments either. Then I noticed the video. It was just a black screen, my reflection staring back at me, and I swear, for just a second, I saw that faceless, pale, white figure peeking over my shoulder. I threw the phone and looked behind me. Nothing. I've been taking pharmacy drugs to go to sleep. My schedule is all off now. I sometimes wake up 1 hour after I take the medicine. Sometimes I think I sleep for a whole day, and still nothing changes. I swear I woke up to someone knocking on my door this morning. I ran to the door, undid all the locks I installed, and ran down the hallway. I'm at the end of the hallway, so there was only one way to run. I found nobody. I guess I should mention where I've been staying. I figured that since no one is here, it'd be a shame not to inhabit a nice hotel room, right? In my dreams, there are people. In my dreams, I can talk to my family. In my dreams, I am happy. I have been taking more and more medication to sleep, dangerous amounts. I need help, but I have no one to talk to. I hate this. I swear I've been hearing cars on my way to the bar. Sometimes, when I turn in the direction, I think I see the back end of a car driving off. This place is making me crazy. All YouTube videos are now black screens. I can't see the figure on my screen anymore. Cell service is down, electricity is in and out, water is brown. I'm taking more meds than ever. I think I'm depressed. My dreams where I can see my family aren't lasting as long. I've been thinking of taking my final dose, falling into my last dream. I don't know. If I don't update, assume I've left. Why is life so cruel? I'm waking up now. People are all around me yelling. My parents crying. I thought I was alone. My final dose already went through my system. Why did I think I was alone? The white figure looks over me, his hand outstretched, reaching for my face. I won't let him have it. This happened at my parents' place. Where there lives a ghost, confirmed too many times, but this time it was different. So, during a summer, my mother lost her brother and mother back to back. Instead of funerals, they were cremated and spread to the ocean. I wasn't invited, it was a private 4-person meeting. Later that day, I called my mum and asked if I could come to visit. I just wanted to give my sympathy. When I got there, Dad was at work and it was only my mum, my younger brother, and 2 dogs. I walked to the living room, past the lunch table, said hello to my brother at the lunch table. He had black hoodie on, and sat down next to my mother at the sofa. I talked with her, and then I asked a question from my brother while turning around to the table where he was, or I thought he was. My mum asked who I was talking to, and I said to my brother who was sitting at the table. I was so confused, so I started to yell his name to find where he was, and he yelled back from downstairs. He had been playing on the computer the whole time. Then who in the world was sitting in the chair? My brother doesn't even own a black hoodie. He always wears blue or white. My mum was crying a little while she said it was probably my brother coming to say goodbye for the last time. I was running. That's all I knew. My breath came in sharp gasps and my heart pounded in my ears louder than the guttural moans closing in behind me. The world had ended 2 years ago. Civilization fell to the infection and the dead took over the streets, turning cities into rotting graveyards. I survived by being careful, by being fast, but most importantly, by being able to see, and now I couldn't. My foot had caught on something, a rusted piece of metal or a shattered curb. I didn't know. I had fallen hard, my body skidding across the cracked pavement. When I scrambled back up, I felt my face, my hands, the cold realization setting in. My glasses were gone. The world around me was a smear of muted colours, indistinct shapes shifting, twitching in the dim light. I dropped to my knees, blindly and desperately patting the ground. My fingers skimmed over metal, the frame, cold and twisted in my hands, snapped in two. Then a sharp sting as my fingers brushed across jagged edges, the lenses, shattered. A deep groan rumbled from the darkness, closer than before. My fingers clenched around the broken pieces, but they were useless. Without my glasses, the world wasn't just dangerous, it was a death sentence. Panic surged through me, my breath coming in short bursts. I could hear them, shambling, dragging their feet across the debris-littered streets. One wrong move, one misstep, and I was done. A figure loomed ahead, tall, lurching. My brain screamed at me to run, but in which direction? My depth perception was useless. I backed away, my heart hammering against my ribs, but my foot snagged on something again. I toppled, my hands slammed into the ground, just as the guttural breathing grew louder. They were here. I bit my lip, forcing myself to focus. Think, damn it. A sound, metal scraping against stone. A can. I reached out, grasping it. With all the strength I had left, I had hurled it to my right. The clatter echoed through the alley. The groan shifted. The shadows moved towards the noise. I didn't wait. I pushed up, blinking rapidly against the blur, and ran. I ran with my ears instead of my eyes, following the open spaces, avoiding the wet, hungry noises that meant death. My pulse roared in my ear, eyes, my lungs burned, but I didn't stop. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if I was running towards safety or straight into a hood, but I couldn't stop, because in a world where one mistake meant death, I was going in blind. I realised there was a ghost in my window after my ex moved out. I was slumped in my couch alone, and then, you know how you feel when someone's staring at you, and look over, and someone actually is. That happened. I could feel eyes on me. I looked around, and there she was, her reflection in our fifth floor apartment window. I stood up. I might have cried out from fear, I don't remember. Went over to the window, which looked over a narrow alley and snowy roofs. Our apartment building was in a street mostly with townhouses. Anyway, the face in the window didn't budge or blink, just stared. I stared back. I couldn't tell if the face was outside the window or in the window, if that makes sense. On impulse, pushing the limp curtains fully aside, I opened the window. Wind howled in from the streetlit darkness. Her face glimmered back into the glass, backlit from the streetlight. And then I noticed, not a noticing soul, but I noticed her hair. It was all done up fancy, and there were lights, no sparkles like jewels in her hair. A trail of elaborate sparkles running from the top of her ears towards the back. And then, as I stared and she stared back, tears running down her pale cheeks, it clicked. She was a bride. She was done up similar to girls at their weddings. We had been to a wedding a few months back, and I remember the hair and the sparkling jewels curving around the bride's forehead. It was pretty. The girl opened her mouth, and I remembered my living room was haunted. I reached my hand to the window. She also raised her hand, and through the ice touch of the glass, I felt her fingers warm and reassuring. The warmth of her fingers was the first thing that ignited actual fear in me. It blazed in me as my eyes stretched wide open, and the blaze burned my fog of heartbreak and confusion and made me see clearly. The girl in the window wasn't my ex, a silly fancy in mind. In fact, it looked nothing like her, but a supernatural, sad bridal creature haunting me. I snatched my hand away and leapt back. The woman's face shone brightly in the glass, and she smiled. Her painted lips moved. Let me in, Charles. I'm so cold. I blinked. How could I? What did she mean? On impulse, I pulled the curtains, which had been hanging back, close together, and collapsed back on the couch. I realised I was sweating, and very soon after, a great wave of fatigue pulled me under, and I fell into the deepest slumber I have ever known. I forgot to think about my ex much the next day. Occasionally, the bride's face in the window swam into my mind. I didn't feel much fear anymore, and towards the end of the day, I found myself wondering if she would still be there. She was. We stared at each other. Our fingers touched through the glass. Let me in. Her words glided into my brain. I can help you. I know how you feel. My brain jerked. I snatched my fingers away and let the curtains fall. How could she know how I feel? The huge fatigue welled up in me again, and the image of the face, the last thing I saw before everything went black. The next day was a Saturday. For the first time since the breakup, I was happy it was a Saturday, and the day didn't loom pointlessly in front of me. I went straight to the local library, which I hadn't visited since childhood, and dove into the local archives. In an hour or so, I had found what I needed to know. My building was built on the site of a large old house. About 50 years ago, a young bride had jumped out of a balcony to her death after the groom-to-be jilted her the morning of their wedding. A sensational local news story. I stared at the young sad face on the bride in the digitalised old newspaper, the same face that looked at me from my window every night, asking to be let back in. But even if I wanted to, how could I? That evening, I flung the window open, hoping to be rid of her longing stare into my soul. There was nothing, just the street night glare and icy rush of window. The moment I pulled the window shut, she shone into the glass. Let me in, Charles. I can help you. I know how you feel. They say you get used to everything, and soon I got used to that sad, sparkly face in the window, yearning to come in, claiming to help me. And even though I couldn't bring her back in, I think maybe she was helping me, because I seemed to be thinking about my ex and the breakup less and less. I resumed my usual gym routine, and a few weeks after that visit to the library, I gave in to the insistence of my friends to set up a new dating profile. Very soon after that, I found myself going out on coffee days, which then progressed to dinner days, and from there to do you want to come back to my place days with lovely Helen. As we settled on the couch, I turned and pulled Helen close to me, savouring this new romantic bliss. A shine caught my eyes and my eyelids fluttered open. I glimpsed the face in the window over Helen's shoulder, the sparkle and shine on her eyes and teeth and the jewels in her hair, and the streetlights dazzled me. I jerked away from Helen and cried out. How could I have forgotten about her? Helen smiled politely at me. What's wrong, Charles? The curtains, I muttered and stood up and walked over to pull them close. The face come up so close I could feel the warmth of her skin. Now, Charles, she begged, let me in now. Without thinking, I pulled the window open. Icy air washed in. Just want a breath of fresh air, I heard myself explaining to Helen, who seemed quite motionless on the couch. I went back to the couch and settled next to her. Helen, I placed my arms around her, pulling her towards me, and then I saw the sparkles in her hair, the jewels tucked in an elaborate and familiar pattern around her ears and curling back. I cried out in horror, reeling back. The face from the window was superimposed on Helen's lively, pretty features. Oh, Charles, it's so warm in here. Never let me back out. Helen, I cried, horrified at what I had done. I grabbed her shoulders and started shaking her. Helen, listen to me. I shook her again, and she smiled at me, lying back on the couch. I took her by the hand, yanked her to her feet, dragged her to the window, and flung it open. Out, out, I cried. And we tussled in the rush of cold black air. Her hands were strong on mine, pulling me through the window. All the lights and sparkles seemed to turn upside down, and suddenly I was dangling outside, with nothing beneath me. My hands gripped the railing, and I could feel a force greater than gravity pulling me down. Charles, she screamed. I looked up at her, and she bent towards me, her face her own. Hold on, she gasped, and she pulled at me. I was able to climb up and crawl in, gripping her arms. I heard her cries of pain, but she remained steady. Once in, I immediately slammed the window shut, and we collapsed on the floor. After a while, we got up. Helen said casually she's going to put the kettle on for a cuppa. It sounded like a good idea, and I said I wanted one too. As I followed her into the kitchen, I looked back at the living room window, which was black, reflecting the normal glare of streetlights. Helen was kind and gentle to me. I never saw the face in the window again. That concludes today's Scary Reddit stories. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this creepy journey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please also leave your own spooky experiences below